Okay, today we're going to talk about absolute value in open sentence. Okay, we last time talked about this. Just a review. We actually talked about this and we showed you how to do this, right, using shortcuts and so on. But we're going to talk about this more in depth. Okay, so for example, let's see if you guys remember. It's basically equations with absolute values. That's what we're going to work on. So for example, if I have this, example 1. Absolute value of x is less than 2. Who remembers how to do how to solve this equation with involving absolute value? Yes, Jason?
It was like you have to switch the.
Actually, let's do with equal to 2 first. Sorry. Let's do equal to 2. So can you fix that, guy? Sorry, my bad. So if I have absolute value of x equals to 2, example 1a. Who remembers? We get 2 equations really from this, don't we? Who remembers what the 2 equations? Because you're looking at this x. What can the value of x be? Yeah, Claire?
2 or -2.
Yeah, x could equal to 2 or x equals to -2. And notice, look at the word that we're using here. We're using the word or. Is this a conjunction or disjunction? It's disjunction. You guys remember from last time? It's disjunction.
1 times 1.
No, it's not 1 times 1. Okay, it's absolute value of x. Okay, fine. Here. Like this, absolute value of x. Okay. All right. So, why can we not put the word and in the middle?
Because that's
Okay, raise your hand. How about, actually, let me pick somebody. Yes, how about Samuel? Why not?
They don't like collide. It's not overlap.
Well, how do you know that they don't overlap? Yeah, what's the,
Because it's equal, so it's not saying x is greater than or less than. It's just saying x is 2 or -2, so you can't say x equals both 2 and
exactly. If I were to put and in the middle, it wouldn't make any sense. How can a number, right, be 2 and -2 at the same time? It's impossible. So that's why you're kind of forced to put or there, right? Because there are 2 possible solutions for this, right? X could be 2 or -2. Does that make sense? All right. So if you were to graph this, how would you graph this on a number line? How about Michael?
You would just put 2 points, -2 and 2.
Exactly. Here's -2. Here's 2. You would just 2 points like this. Do I shade or anything like that?
No.
No, you don't. When do we shade them? When we have an inequality. You guys remember this? By the way, do you guys remember, like, another way of thinking about this is like distance from 0 here? Like, how far is this? When you have absolute value of x equals 2, this is the same as what? Distance from 0 to, the number has to be what? How many units?
2.
2 units, right? So if you go to the right, you end up at 2. If you go to the left, you end up at -2. Do you guys remember this from like maybe previous years? When you have the absolute value of some number, x, like this means the distance from x to 0 is 2 units. Does that make sense? All right, so let's now do some inequalities. This time it was pretty straightforward. We did with the equal sign. Let's deal with inequalities now. Example 2b, now we have absolute value of x is less than 2. This is not 1 times 1, you know. It's absolute value of x less than 2. Now, who remembers how to do this? We learned the shortcut last time. This represents, just like, you know, if you have equal sign, it represents 2 equations. This represents 2 inequalities. Who remembers one of the inequality that this represents? Yes, Libby?
X is greater than -2.
Yeah, it's the same one, exactly the same one without the absolute value. You guys remember? So, oops. X is, oh, did you say greater than?
Greater than -2.
Oh, okay. What about let's do this one first. X is less than 2. It's the same exact one without the absolute value. And it's what? X is greater than -2. You're right. Okay. Now, how come I have the word and in the middle?
This is both.
Well, how did you know that? Like, do you remember the shortcut? When we have the absolute value of x less than, which word do we use?
Because there's
And. Remember less than goes with and. Which one goes with or? If you have the absolute value greater, right? That goes with or. Now today, I'm going to show you why we need and when you have the less than sign, and then when you have greater sign, you need or. So that's what we're going to actually talk about. Last time we just learned the shortcuts, right? Today I'm going to try to explain why this is true. Anyway, so do we know how to graph this now?
Yep.
Go ahead, everybody try. This is sort of similar to what we did last time. Go ahead, I'll wait. Eric,
Yeah.
what kind of graph did you get after graphing this? Can you describe the graph for us? The real numbers, what?
the real numbers are less than 2 and greater than -2.
Yeah, so there's another way of saying that. Like, no, you say like, did you get this? The real numbers between -2 and 2. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how many people got this? Good, because it's and in the middle, right? Is this a conjunction or disjunction? Conjunction. You see, if you have less than, it's conjunction. So this is where they overlap. The overlap is right there. Easy enough? So we get a conjunction for this, of course, for less than. Any question? All right. So let me write that down. Conjunction. Okay, right? Because we get and. Well, let's do another one where it's greater than. Okay, here we go. Okay, everybody go ahead and do this one here. Absolute value of x now greater than 2. So, Carolyn, can you tell me the two inequalities we get from this?
You get x is greater than 2 or x is less than negative.
That's right. So it's or this time because it's greater. You guys remember I said that's a shortcut. Remember greater with or, right? Less than with and. So this is the shortcut that we learned. Again, we're going to try to explain to you why this is. Okay, so go ahead and graph, see what you get. I'll wait. And is this a conjunction or disjunction?
Disjunction.
Disjunction. Very good. Okay, so write that down and then graph. Okay. Aaron, what kind of graph did you get?
I got
The real numbers.
uh,
So remember that's how you say it.
oh,
The real numbers. Uh-huh.
real numbers except the numbers between -2 and 2.
Oh, you can say it that way, or you say the real numbers greater than 2 or
Or
less than negative. Yeah, exactly. So did you guys get this graph?
Yeah.
Okay. Any question? Easy enough?
Yeah.
Okay. If you didn't, go ahead and fix it. Okay. All right. Let's do one more then. Here. Are you done fixing it? You need more time? Okay, I'll wait. Here. Take a look at example 2 here. It's a little bit different than the other one. Instead of just having x, now I have x minus 3 in absolute value. Okay, absolute value of x minus 3 is now greater than 1. Again, how many inequalities do you get from this absolute value problem? 2. What's the first one? Okay, one person knows? It's the first one is easy.
No, me,
How about
Oh.
okay, how about somebody that Chuck?
X minus 3 is less than -1.
What's the other one?
X minus 3 is greater than 1.
Yeah, so the first one, okay, so you guys say it the other way, but that's fine. First one is the same exact one, right? Without the absolute value?
Or.
Is it or and?
Or.
It's greater, so it's or, right? And then what's the other one? It's the same exact one except you have to, yeah, reverse the inequality symbol and then write the negative. You guys remember this? Right? That was a shortcut we learned, right? And we know why it's or because it's greater. That was a shortcut that I talked about. Okay, go ahead, everybody finish it up. I'll wait. This time it's not just x by itself. You got some number inside the absolute value. That's okay. We know how to do this. Okay. So how many people add 3 to both sides here for the first one? How many people got x greater than 4? Good. What about the other one? Or x less than 2? Okay. Is this easy? Do you all get this graph? Right? Or means we include the solution of both, right? So there you go. Any question?
the real number.
Yeah, so you could say the real numbers greater than 4 or less than 2. Is this easy? Okay, try this one now. Example 3. Now this time it's x plus 2. Absolute value of x plus 2 less than 3. Go ahead, everybody try the same exact one except it's instead of minus 2 it's plus 2. And it's less than. Yeah, the other one is greater than. Okay, it's very similar. Go ahead, everybody try. I'll wait. All right, who could tell me what we get here? How about let's see. I would like to ask Christina. What do you think?
Okay, so I got x is less than 1.
Well, actually, let's write down the two inequalities that we get first.
Okay,
What's the first one? The first one is always easy. The first one.
Plus 2
Uh-huh.
is less than 3.
Good. That's now. Is this going to be what word should go in the middle? And or? It's less than. So and. Very good. And then
And then,
what do we get? The other one.
Then I got x minus 2. No, x plus 2.
Yeah, it stays the same. The ones in the,
Yeah,
x plus 2.
is greater than negative.
You got it. You change. So what's inside the absolute value doesn't change, but whatever it was less than is now greater than.
Yeah.
It was 3. It's the opposite of 3. It's negative 3. Easy enough? Yes. You guys remember this? Okay. How many people got then this graph and got the real numbers between -5 and 1? Raise your hand. Any questions? Is this easy?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So I'm going to show you why this is and or and so on. Okay. So on your homework tonight, this is all you have to do. But we're going to talk about why. Okay. So here we go. So let's take a look at this very simple absolute value problem. Absolute value of x equals 3. We know what the solution for this is, right? What can x be? There are two ways for this. Yeah, it could be -3 or 3. And if you were to graph it, you get something like this, right? And you notice it's or. Remember, it's disjunction, right? As we talked about before. Okay, and this is sort of obvious why this is or, because if it was and, it doesn't make any sense, right? A number can't be 3 or -3 at the same time. So this one we know why it's or. Is that okay? Now, as we said before, maybe you learned from last year, year before. Do you remember in terms of distance? Look at the middle number, like number right in the middle. The distance from 0 to 3 is no, that's not okay. So the distance from x is 3 units from 0. That's how we say it, right? You look at the x, right? The x that we're looking for is 3 units from the 0, right? So if you go from 3 units to the right, you get 3, right? And if you go 3 units to the left, right? So as you can see, this absolute value of x equals 3 means we're looking for the x that is 3 units from 0. Is that okay? Does this make sense? Now, keeping that in mind, let's look at the one with the absolute value of x less than 3. Now, and we said this was a less than, so it's and, so is this conjunction or disjunction? And less than, so it's conjunction, right? So why is this conjunction? Well, let's think about this. Because just like before, we know that this, if you were to graph this, right? Well, actually, in terms of words, what do you think this means? If the one above, if you're looking for the x that is 3 units from 0, guess what this is going to ask you to figure out? X is what? Is it 3 units from 0, or do you think it's going to be something else? X has to be? What symbols do we have here? X has to be? Look at the symbol. What symbol do we have? Less than. So we're looking for x that is less than 3 units from where? 0. This is what it means, guys. We're looking for x that is less than 3 units from 0. So do you see where all the values of, right? Where would all these x be? Well, it'll be like this, right? Look, here's my 0, right? Oops. Okay, so there's my 0, right? And look, would 1 be part of our solution? Is 1 less than 3 units from 0? Yeah, what about 2? What about 3? No, 3, that's why we don't include 3. That's why. What about 4? Of course not. What about 1 million? That's too far. What about, can I go to the left?
Yeah.
Is -1 less than 3 units from 0?
Yes.
What about like -0.5?
Yes.
What about -2?
Yes.
What about -2.1?
Yes.
What about -3?
No.
What about -2.9?
Yes.
Do you see why we highlight the all the points in the middle here between -3 and 3? Because we're looking for the value of x that is what? Less than 3 units from 0. Does that make sense? Okay. And when you think about this graph, in order to get this graph, it must be, right? X has to be between -3 and 3, right? Do you guys remember what this shortcut is really? What this shortcut really represents? This represents 2 inequalities, doesn't it? Which ones? It represents x greater than -3, what? And what?
Less than 3.
Yeah, x less than 3, and you see we need to have and in the middle. If you had or, it would be all real numbers, right? Does that make sense? Do you see why when you have the less than symbol, it's really a conjunction? You need and in the middle? Does this kind of explain to you why we need less than goes with and? Right? If it was or, it would be all real numbers. Doesn't make any sense. So this is why when you have the absolute value of x less than some number, you need and in the middle. Is that okay? Do you understand what we're trying to say? So we were explaining why we need, for less than, we need and. Okay? Because last time I just told you that's how it works. This time I'm trying to explain to you. Okay, take a look at this then. What if I have absolute value of x greater than 3? What do you think then this is talking about? X is what? Greater than how many units from 0? 3 units from 0. So wouldn't you get this kind of graph? Right? Isn't that what it means? Because from 0, can it be 3? Can 3 be my solution? Is 3 greater than 3 units from 0? No. What about 3.1?
Yes.
What about 3.2?
Yes.
What about 4?
Yes.
And 5 and everything on the right side? What about -3? Would that be our solution? No, that's not greater than 3 units from. It's exactly 3. What about -3.1?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about -3.2?
Yes.
What about -4?
Yes.
-5, -1,000,000. Does that make sense? And now, to get this graph, which word do we need? Do we need conjunction or disjunction? We need or and? We need or, because if it was and, would there be any overlap? No, so we need or. Do you see why when you have absolute value of x greater, you need or in the middle? So this explains to you why, right, it works out this way. Does that make sense? So this is important to understand, right? So with this simple example, it kind of, right, explains why this is true. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So we could actually verify this from all these examples we did. Let's go back. Okay, I'll go ahead and write it down. I'll wait. Okay. So then let's verify that this is true. Look at the very first example we did here, guys. Look, we said absolute value of x equals 2, right? X has to be how many units? Thank you. How many units away from 0? 2 units. So that's why we got 2 and negative 2, right? Does it work for the inequality that we did? X less than 2, right? Look, this means what? X has to be less than 2 units from where? 0, right? Look at all these points between negative 2 and 2, aren't they? 2 units, less than 2 units from 0. What about C here? Does that work out same way?
Yeah.
This says x absolute value of x is greater than 2, so that means x is greater than 2 units from 0, right?
Yeah.
But look at this one. Is that what we got here? What's the number right in the middle? 2 and 4. What's in the middle here, guys?
3.
3, right? So how come this time the center is not 0 anymore? You see how all the other ones, the center was 0, right?
Yeah.
How come this one, the center is 3? Okay, I want you to discuss with your team. Go ahead. What do you think? How come this time it's not 0, it's 3 this time? And of course, look, does it make sense? It's greater than 1, right? So from 3, the distance from 3, x is, right? More than 1 unit from 3. But why is it 3 this time? Why isn't it 0? Go ahead, everybody think about it. What happened? So anybody see why this is 3 this time? But it does make sense from 3. It is, right, greater than 1 unit from 3. Why 3 this time? Anybody see it? Look at example 1 and example 2. What's the difference? Yes. What do you mean it's in between? Look at all this center. My center was 0 for this one, right? Yeah, how come this is 3 this time? Why is my center 3 this time? Dana? Yeah, the other equation you just had x by itself, right? Now what do we have here? X minus a number. So guess what? X minus whatever the number, that's going to be the center. And but look, what is the coefficient of x, by the way? It has to be 1. Okay, so that's so does it work on the example 3? What should the center be for this one? My coefficient is 1. Should it be 2 or negative 2? Yeah, remember it's x minus some number, right? Does this say x minus 2 or does it say x plus 2?
It says x.
Yeah, so what does this mean? This means 1x what? Minus what? Negative 2, right? Less than 3. So let's see. Is the center negative 2 for this one? Yes, it is. Because, right? What is the number right in the middle of negative 5 and 1? Well, you just take the average, right? You do negative 5 plus 1, which is negative 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And we're looking for all the values of x. That is what? Less than 3 units from where? The center, which is?
2.
Negative 2. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, this only works if you have 1x. If you have other than 1, we'll deal with that later. But if you have 1x, so this is the fact. If you have 1x minus something, that's the center, right? The number that comes after. Any question on this? Can you do something like this for your homework tonight? Very good.